Okay, so this is kind of a impromptu. I wanted to pop on with you guys because we are doing the Easter pallet sign this week, and I'm doing it on a pallet board, and I know a lot of you have been asking how we do that and how you can get them. We can't ship them because it'll cost a fortune, but Corey agreed to jump on and show you how he does them. So this is my husband, Corey. So he's gonna show you what wood he gets, all the questions that you guys always ask me and I don't know the answers to. So we're starting with...
It's a 1x4-inch furring strip. I get them from Lowe's. Most Home Depots carry them too, but their wood distributor tends to stamp on them, and so a lot of times we stopped using Home Depot because their stamp on their wood got in the way of the design that she would have.
Yeah, I mean, paint can cover it up, but it was just, Lowe's doesn't have anything on them, so it's just easier to, if you have a Lowe's, to use a Lowe's. But hello, hi Vicki. So 1x4 furring strips, right?
Yes, most of them are junk. Usually if we're doing a 40-person paint night, I'll pick through 200 to 250 boards to get 40 that actually are usable. So you got to take your time. Don't be afraid if there's only a pile of them and all of them are junk. Don't hesitate to tell someone, hey, we need a new pallet down, and they'll bring in 300 more of them, and then you can pick through and get the good ones.
And don't order, I know someone had said they ordered some and they were terrible and they thought we must buy some special kind of furring strips, and we don't. So don't order them, go through and pick them out on your own, and then you wanted to show them what to look for.
Most of the time, if you're just doing a couple, pull the pieces that you like that are visually good, lay them on the ground. They should not wobble. This is a good board. This is the one we're going to use. A lot of the ones that you'll find are going to warp long ways, and so they'll rotate all over the floor.
Yeah, so.
But so you want to make sure, and you can also check it down the length of the board. If you get too much of a bow one way or the other, or if you see twisting, push it to the side. It's not going to be worth using. Reason being is once it gets nailed together, this is wet furring strip wood, which means one, it's going to shrink. So when I made this, these boards were tight to each other, and this is one that we didn't actually use, and it's been what?
Several months sitting in the garage.
So you do, when you are applying them, you want to tuck them in as tight as you can together, because you are going to get a little shrinkage, and they're going to sometimes warp a little bit. It becomes a bigger problem with the really bad ones. You'll actually get them warping enough that they will pull away from the board.
But for the most part, well, I've never noticed it once they're painted. So I don't know, does painting seal them? So I mean, does that do anything, or?
No, you've still got shrinkage.
It just is not as noticeable?
Right, because it still looks good. Other things, you're gonna see really rough, you'll get a lot of rough boards.
So I'm gonna try to get this where you guys can, there. Okay, so see how rough this is? Some of them are like that, and you want to avoid those, but if you can put this on the back of your board, because if you flip this one over, it's smooth. This lighting is terrible. There you go. It's smooth on this side, but on this side, it's like really rough. I wonder if I can adjust the light there. Anyways.
Sure, with the chipping too. And some of the boards you'll see have a chipped imperfection. You want to avoid those because they'll give you bigger gaps when you try to tuck those boards in together.
So anything like this wood just is looking white in the camera. I wonder if I try to shadow there. You can see a little bit there. Anyways, just rough edges. You just want to avoid those. It should be nice and smooth on the edge.
So the 18 by 18 is actually a 17 and a half by 17 and a half.
Yes.
So if you're using a saw like this, I set up a block at 17 and a half so I can just run through them, because we're usually making multiples. You can also take your time with the tape measure, use like a cordless power hand saw to cut them. You'll just want to line them and mark them at 17 and a half inches. You're going to get a little imperfection doing it that way. once it's on your shelf, you're not going to you're not going to notice.
Yeah, a lot of this, you know, it's like the same thing I tell you guys in the beginning of paintings when we stress over the stuff that you see at the beginning. It's not going to matter once you have paint on it and it's all put together and it's hanging on your wall.
Is this going to be really offensive live?
Well, I mean, they listened to me cut out a door hanger.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the headphones on really quick. He is using, is that a table saw? Mm-hmm. He's using a table saw.
It's a compound double bevel miter saw, which you don't need.
But you can. He said you can use a handheld one. What size were the Santa Claus ones? Same boards, but they are. This is longer. A broken one. We only do for the Santa Claus size. They're again same boards, but there's 4 of them instead of 5.
23.5 inches.
And they are 23.5 inches. So I call those 14 by 24. So like if you see that on my website, I just round up. Okay, so sorry if this is a little loud. He's gonna cut these really quick and then show you guys how he puts them together. Again, we use 5 boards for the 18 by, I call them 18 by 18, 17 and a half by 17 and a half. Corey, what's the length of this? Like if they go by that?
It's 8 foot.
So it's an 8-foot board is enough to make one 18 by 18 sign. Okay, so one 8-foot board is enough for one 18 by 18 pallet board sign.
Whatever saw you use, you're gonna get a little bit of threading on the end. So
see that?
Pick up some sandpaper when you're at Lowe's too. Just takes a second just to knock the edges off so you don't get splinters.
Yeah, it doesn't take much at all. Just one little wipe of the sandpaper usually knocks them off. Can you guys see okay? Do you want me to angle down?
You don't have to use clips. I just like something firm to press my boards up against because we're usually making a bunch of them and trying to move fast.
So if you guys do plan on doing several, I mean, he thinks it's easier to do a bunch at the same time. So just get a system going, cut all your boards, and then make yourself like an assembly line, or your husband, whoever's doing it for you. So right now he's just lining them up. Can you guys see that? He's making sure the rough sides are on the back.
1x2s are what's going to be your backing. Those are 15.5 inches. Those don't matter. Those come usually strapped in packs of 6. They're all warped. They're all junk. It doesn't matter because you're just nailing into them.
So right now, I'm gonna move the camera so you guys can. Oh, I'm stuck. Hang on. I'm gonna flip you around here. Okay. So you guys can better see what he's doing.
Air compressor's probably going to fire off at some point.
So, I have to flip this back over. Hang on. Let's see. It's moving the opposite direction. You guys don't need to see this the right way. Okay. So this is the finished pallet board. When I do mine, I have them vertical. Will you hold that up for me? So I have them vertical like this and then flip it around. So when you, or no, I mean flip it backwards. Show them the back. There we go. So the reason I do that is because then when you flip it around, I just hang a nail and then you can just hang it from that instead of having to add an extra piece. Sometimes I've done the horizontal ones, the longer ones like for the chapel or Santa Claus. I've done a barn on those. and turn it the other way, and then you're just gonna want to cut a little piece of this and just, same thing, just hammer it, yeah.
That hanger.
Just put a little hanger on the back. So it doesn't need to be anything fancy at all. Now he used a nail gun with an air compressor, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a nail gun or air compressor, I mean, obviously you could see how fast that was. That's why we have that, because he can do several really quickly. You can use, I mean, hammer and nails. You said a
Yeah, 1.25
1.25
nail. You just don't want to pick nails that are for like hanging something tiny in drywall, because the first time you hit it, it's just going to bend in half. You want something little sturdier, little thicker, and that's usually going to be like your galvanized. You can ask.
Obviously not that long. You don't want it sticking through your board,
Yeah.
but like 1.25 inches, right? Is what you
Right.
said.
Right, which technically that's 1.5 inches. So you want to make sure that you're 1.25 inches. You could probably get away with 1 inch if that's something you already have around the house. You can use 1-inch screws if you don't want to mess with hammering, and you just want to, but it's going to be 20 screws per pallet, so you want to factor that in. A thin drywall screw would be enough for this soft wood. It wouldn't be a big deal.
How much roughly is like a nail gun and air compressor and that? Like, I mean, is that like an investment if they wanted to?
Harbor Freight. Well, you can usually get as big of a air compressor you would ever need for $80 to $100.
Okay.
And that's Lowe's will usually run one of those constantly somewhere in that price range. Air compressors. Pretty much every tool I have is thanks to Harbor Freight, because their tools are dirt cheap.
And this is, will you hold that up and show them the nail gun? Thank you, so you don't shoot me with it. So this is his nail gun, but you would basically just go into the store and ask someone what it is that you're needing, and they'll be able to help you. We have a Harbor Freight here in Springfield. I don't know if you guys have those where you're at, but it is really cheap tools, and they work fine. Like, I mean, he's done, I don't even know how many hundreds of these pallet boards for me with those tools, right?
Yeah. And you can, if you're gonna continue with crafting and building and stuff, you can go with something larger, because this can fit anything up to 2.5 inch nail in it. So if you want to do some more significant projects, small furniture, stuff like that.
That's to be used with a compressor too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does the same thing this does. It just has more brads that you can use up to 2.5 inches. So you can build some pretty significant things with it. But it's still, I think that was $50 or $60.
Okay.
But just a basic brad nailer like this, you could probably get for $30 or $40, I would guess. And this is like 40 years old. I got this from Dad.
Oh,
Because he
okay.
didn't use it. It's just, it's light. That's why I use it the most, because high repetition, it gets old carrying something that heavy.
So hopefully that answers your guys' questions. I'm gonna give you a little look at the back again. And if you are local and you don't want to build your own, when he's already making other pallet signs, I'll take orders for some and you guys can pick them up from me. And we sell them for $20 a piece, the pallet boards. So, but again, this is 18 by 18. The strip on the back, it's the same type of board too. These are 1x2s.
Yeah, they'll be right next to the 1x4s and 1x3s. They will not be in the standard wood aisle. You'll go and see a bunch of boards standing vertically. Those are select and like real high quality finish wood. This is going to be in a other aisle because it's junk wood. It's furring strips. It's stuff that's used behind the scenes. So just ask someone as they walk by if you can't find them pretty quick.
But you don't need to buy expensive wood.
No.
At all. So like do you know offhand, what's the cost of you said that was an 8-foot board?
Mm-hmm. They $237, I think.
So
an 8-foot.
yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. So you're looking at, I mean, with the other materials and stuff, about $250 or so per pallet board.
Yeah, and you got your
Roughly.
1x2s and then whatever fasteners.
Yeah, so yeah.
Decide on.
So 1x4s for the main part, 1x2s for the back. They're called furring strips if you want to ask when you're in the store. And if you jumped on late, we get ours at Lowe's because they don't stamp anything on the wood. If you get them at Home Depot, they put, I don't, what is that? I mean, the company that does the wood or whatever. Anyways, it has wording on it. And paint usually covers it up, but sometimes when I would do stained wood instead of paint on wood, it became a problem. So that's why we go to Lowe's instead. And just pay attention to your boards. Like this, you can see is rougher on the back, so that's why they're on the back side of the board, and then it's smooth. Now, I don't care, like I like the knots, so you're not gonna find boards that have no knots in them at all. And some of them even have little divots and stuff. I think that just adds to the painting.
If you have a lot of knots in the boards that you want, just give them a push, because some, they'll be big enough, and as they shrink, they'll push through and push out, and then you end up having a hole in whatever you decided to paint. So they should be firm.
Yeah, but even if they're not, I mean, I have several paintings hanging in my house on pallet boards that some of the knots have come out, but I just think it adds to it. So just don't get too caught up on trying to find perfect wood, because that's not going to happen, and it's not what we use. So if you guys like the way that mine look, we use the boards that have all the imperfections and stuff too. The main thing you just want to make sure is that they're not warped and that they're nice and straight like these are. Okay, so that's it. So you can do this painting on canvas or pallet board, but you've got this video now, so you know how to do the pallet boards. Let me know if you guys have any other questions, and I hope you're excited, you know how to do a pallet board now. All right, wait, let's everyone tell Corey thank you. All right, bye.